ॐ नमो नारायणाय ॐ नमो नारायणाय.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So this is a little explanation. We're going to go through Gaudiya Vaishnava Sandhya Vandanam, Krishna Ajavediya style. And we're going to explain about it a little bit. And so the first thing to notice here is this is an indoor version. This is a document that I did in 2015. And we're going to start with the Prataha Sandhya Vandanam, which is this is a Vedic Sandhya Vandanam, the chanting and use of the Gayatri mantra. And so the first thing to notice is the first thing is Achmana. The reason I've called this Gaudiya Prataha Sandhya Vandanam is because it uses the Gaudiya Achmana. So sit down on an asana means a mat like that, facing east. East is the direction the sun comes up, and do Achmana twice. Now we might face some other. There might be some instructions to face different directions at Madhyanikam and Sayam Sandhya at the noon and the evening Sandhya, but we'll come to that later. So we're doing Prataha Sandhya Vandana first. And if you're just beginning to learn Sandhya Vandana, you should probably start by learning Prataha Sandhya Vandanam. Then you learn the next one will be the evening one, and then the middle one, the noon one last, probably is easiest. And you'll be able to figure it out. There are many mantras which are the same, some mantras are different. Okay, the next thing to do after sitting down the asana is to perform Achamana twice. So the Achamana given here is one that Gaudiya Vaishnavas use of 24 names of Vishnu. So I'm not going to go through all the instructions are pretty simple here. Now it does mention whenever there's Sanskrit jargon, I'll explain that. So Brahma Tirtha is actually the base, the root of the thumb, at the root of the thumb, the base of the right hand. So we sip from that portion.
Yeah.
So when water stays in the middle of the hand is called the Agni Tirtha because it's the warmest part of the hand. So it has some fire there. We put the water there first before we pour it. We sip it from the root of the hand. When water comes out, different parts of the hand, it goes to different devatas or different deities. So when we're offering it to devatas or to the gods, then it goes out past the fingers. When it goes to the rishis, it goes out the opposite the thumb, and when it goes to the pitris, it goes by the thumb, and when it goes to yourself or to Brahma, it comes out the Brahma Tirtha. So these are called the Brahma Tirtha, the Deva Tirtha, the Rishi Tirtha, and the Pitri Tirtha. And we have in the middle we have the Agni Tirtha. Okay, these are different parts of the hand. Okay, so sipping from the Brahma Tirtha, right? So we say this mantra. We put some water in the hand. From the Panchapatra means you have to pick up the spoon with the left hand. You have to put some water in the palm of the right hand, and you have to sip it after saying the mantra. So the mantra. So we'll just go through the mantras. We have Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Narayanaaya Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha. Let's sip, sip, sip like that. Okay. So some people occasionally you find people they put the water, they sip, and then because they touch the hand, they wash it in between each sip. But it's not necessary. Usually people just sip, sip, sip. And then you get Om Govindaya Namaha, you sprinkle water on the right hand to wash the hand. Right? Then you take the spoon in the spoon, which is also called an Udarni. You have a Panchapatra, which is a vessel with water in it. And it can be made of gold or silver or copper or some brass or some bell metal. Usually copper is used, like that, or people have silver too. And that's nice. And you can take the Udarni, the spoon, and you can, now, if you're doing this outside, some people, they don't even use a spoon. What they do is they just pick up the Panchapatra and they pour it a little bit into the hand.
Oh.
That's also possible, okay? So, so I've seen even people use a gindi or a spouted water pot, to do Sandhya Vandana. It's possible. Okay, anyhow, you get the water in the hand. Okay, so then we put some water on the right hand to wash it. Then we pick up the spoon with the left hand, put some on the left hand and wash it. with Om Govindaya Namaha, Om Vishnave Namaha. Then Om Madhusudhanaya Namaha, Om Trikramaya Namaha. Right, I'm putting these together because you wipe the mouth with the right hand. Now it says wipe the mouth with the right hand. There's different things that different people do. Right. Usually they take 4 fingers and they just wipe it like that. Wipe the mouth, like that. So this is done twice. Then you're wiping the lips. Now, is there a difference between the mouth and the lips? Actually, in Sanskrit, the word would be mukha, and it could mean the whole face. So we don't really know. But it looks like you just wipe the mouth. Because you sip the water, there may be some water attached to the mouth. So wipe the mouth. And then Om Vamanaya Namaha, Om Sridharaya Namaha, wipe the lips with the base of the thumb. I'm not sure why you with the base of the thumb, but this is the base of the thumb. So like that. And again, you're going to have to wash your hands. So then with Om Rishikeshaya Namaha, take some water. Again, with the left hand, take the spoon and put some water there and wash your hands like that. Then take the spoon with the right hand. Usually take the spoon with the right hand. If it's in the left hand, it might be okay also. But because you just had it in your left hand and you put water on your right hand because your right hand was dirty from wiping your mouth. So yeah, you could probably leave it in your left hand. That's fine. This is all not an exact science, you know. Okay, so then sprinkle some water on your feet. Now, if you're sitting cross-legged and your dhoti is covering your feet, or your cloth is covering your feet, or sari if you're a lady, right? Now, sometimes when ladies do achmana, there's also some ladies achmana which is shorter. In South India, they have a shorter achmana for ladies, but sometimes ladies can do the long achmana also if they want, like that. Gaudiya Vaishnavism in Hari Bhakti Vilas, they don't make any distinction. They don't say that there's a different achmana for men and ladies. In South India, some Vaishnava sects, they have different tilak for men and ladies. They have different achmana for men and ladies. So some sects do, some sects don't. Okay. So now we're taking to Padmanabhaya Namaha, and we're putting some water on the feet. If you can't see your feet, you can just put it on above where your feet are, where you're sitting cross-legged on your dhoti. You just sprinkle a little water this here and here, like that. Otherwise, I've seen people they lift one knee up and they put some water there and lift the other knee up and put some water there to try and get it on their feet. Okay, if necessary, you can do that. Okay. I don't think it's necessary. You can just sprinkle some on your top of your knees. Om Damodharaya Namaha, sprinkle some water on your head, on top of your head. Om Vasudevaya Namaha, touch the lips with the right hand. Now, when we say touch someplace with the right hand, normally we mean with the fingers of the right hand, with the 4 fingers. Sometimes we'll touch with 5 fingers, but usually we'll just touch with the 4 fingers. So touch with the 4 fingers, right? So this is in Achmana. Usually there's the first part which has to do with water, either sipping it or sprinkling it, and then the second part is more like a nyasa. Nyasa means touching or depositing, and so the second part is the Anga Vandanam, which would mean the offering of prayers to different parts of the body. So here we touch the lips. Now, you notice here that it doesn't say to wash your hands after this. Therefore, the touching of the lips should not be done. This touching doesn't need to be. You don't actually have to touch. You can touch places which are considered pure, but the lips would not be considered to be a pure place to touch and then perform deity worship. Okay, so when there's a place, and you're going to find this with nyasas in general, that there are some nyasas where you have to touch the genitals, touch the anus, right? Like this. Instead of doing that, you touch near that place. You put your fingers near that place and you meditate upon touching. It's called bhavik, by bhava, by feeling, by your feeling, by your meditation, you're touching, but you're not actually touching. Because if you actually touch, you'd have to wash your hand again, right? So here it says touch the lips with the right hand. So I would say just in front of the lips, just place the 4 fingers in the right hand like that. Right, so that's Om Vasudevaya Namaha. Then Om Sankarshanaya Namaha, Om Pradyumnaya Namaha. Touch the right side of the nose and there are right side of the nose and the left side of the nose. Now, as we go down here, we're going to see that there are some places on the body where we touch the right side and then we touch the left side, or we touch both sides, and we always touch the right first and then the left second.
Yeah.
So if you're going to touch the ears, it's going to be right ear first, then left ear, right? If you're going to touch the eyes, it's right eye, then left eye, like that. So here we start off by touching the side of the nose, the nostrils, like that. Now, there may be some more complicated instructions here about certain fingers that we touch different parts of the body, right? But here, normally in Hari Bhakti Vilas, I didn't see anything like that. It's only just touching. It just says touch that place, right? So it doesn't say touch it with any particular finger. So then just with whatever, with the finger of the right hand, just touch.
Okay, but this tradition to touch certain parts of the body with specific fingers, from where it comes?
Okay, in Smarta Achmana in South India. In South India, they don't use 24 names; they use 12 names usually. In Karnataka, there's also a system where they use 24 names. And the only difference between these 24 names and those 24 names is that Vasudeva and Sankarshana are transposed. So instead of saying Om Vasudevaya Namaha, Om Sankarshana Namaha, Om Pradyumna Namaha, Om Aniruddhaya Namaha, they say Om Sankarshana Namaha, Om Vasudevaya Namaha, Om Pradyumna Namaha, Om Aniruddhaya Namaha. Okay, so that is in Karnataka. Some people do that, maybe also in Andhra Pradesh. So those people do that, right? They're using the 24 names, right? But in Tamil Nadu, the Achaman, the Smart Achaman and the Sri Vaishnava Achamana is usually, now that's, so in Karnataka, the Madhvas will use that type of Achamana that I just described with those 24 names, with Sankarshana before Vasudeva. And that's because they have a certain concept of, they're perhaps not exactly following the Pancharatric system, because in the Pancharatric system, we see that Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha come in that order, right? Okay, these are called the Chaturvyuhas, right? The expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayana. The first expansion is the Chaturvyuhas. So there's from Paravasudeva, we get Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, or some people just say Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, right? So we have 4 to start with, right? And the thing is, in Pancharatra, it's described that each one of these, Vasudeva has got 6 qualities of Bhagavan in full. These other ones have 6, also got the same qualities in full, but they only exhibit 2 each.
Okay.
So you have Jnana, Shakti, Bala, Aishwarya, Virya, and Tejas. You have these 6 attributes of the Lord, of Bhagavan. And so each one of them, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, only show, they have all 6 in full, but they mainly show 2, 2, 2, like that. Okay. So now we have, so now we're talking about the first thing is the Chaturvyuha. From the Chaturvyuha, each one of those vyuhas, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, has 3 more expansions. So Vasudeva has 3 expansions. Those expansions are Keshava, Narayana, Madhava. Right? Yeah. So those are the names that come first. So we see Keshava, Narayana, Madhava, Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudana, Trivikrama, Vamana, Sridhara, Rishikesha, Padmanabha, and Damodara. These are called Upa-vyuhas. So a vyuha, or the Chaturvyuha, or the Mahavyuhas, are the 4, Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Expanded from them are minor vyuhas called Keshava, Narayana, Madhava from Vasudeva, Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudana from Sankarshana, Trivikrama, Vamana, Sridhara from Pradyumna, and Rishikesha, Padmanabha, and Damodara from Aniruddha. Okay? Right. So these are called Upavyuhas. So we have Chaturvyuha, then the Upavyuhas. So these are Upavyuha forms come first in the Achamana, then comes the Chaturvyuha forms. All right. So then we've come up to, we're touching these different parts of the body, first the right side and then the next side. So we have Om Vasudevaya Namaha, right? Touch, but don't actually touch in front of, by bhava touch, right? So, Om Sankarshanaya Namaha, Pradyumnaya Namaha, touching the right and the right side and the left side of the nose. Om Anirudaya Namaha Purushottamaha, touch the right eye and the left eye, right? If you're wearing glasses,
Yeah.
some people just touch in front of the glasses. If other people lift the glasses up and actually touch the eyes, it's up to you, right? There's no hard and fast rule about this in scripture because there were no glasses in scripture. Okay, so so we have now we're up to touching the right eye and the left eye. Anirudaya Namaha Purushottamaya Namaha. Then we have Adhoksajaya Namaha, Nrsimhaya Namaha. That's the right ear and the left ear, right? Then we have and again, if you're worried about touching the body and then touching, without washing your hands, touching something else sacred, right? Then you should just not touch, but just touch near that place. Yeah.
Okay.
So nyasa can be done like that by actually touching when you're doing a mantra nyasa in the beginning before a mantra, when you're saying the rishi, the chanda, and the devata of a particular mantra. Right, then you may touch, but maybe you don't touch. Maybe you just touch it, put it in front of the place. Okay, that's up to you. Some people touch, some people don't touch. Okay. The tendency for me with this achemana would be not to touch because afterwards there's no washing of the hands afterwards. So, I think you should not touch. You should probably do it by bhava. Okay, so now it says, on the other hand, some people will say when we chant the mantra, we're depositing the mantra on that particular place. So if that particular place is on the upper body, above the waist, except for the mouth, then we should touch it. But when we remember, if we look in Shastra, Shastra says that the body is the city of 9 gates. So it has these 9 holes, right? And these holes are considered to be dirty places. So touching any of those 9 holes should be considered dirty. So if you really think about it, the bhava is the way to go if you're touching near those holes, right? So the nose, the ears, the mouth, even the eyes. These are 9 gates, right? Yeah. So okay. Yeah. Question.
But why the right ear is considered pure? Because if we touch the right ear,
you're right. Okay,
like
that's another thing. The right ear is considered pure for Srotrachmana. We touch the nose and the right ear. The nose was considered to be a seat of Agni, purifying, and the right ear has the Ganges or holy rivers residing within it. Okay, that's another thing. But that's a separate type of achmana that's called Srotrachmana, which we do when we don't have any water. Here we're doing an achmana where we have water. Yeah. So it's a different ritual. So every ritual that we do as Vaishnavas, as Hindus, as Smartas, or as Madhvas or Gaudiyas, whatever type of Hindu we are, right? Each ritual in itself will have certain aspects that we have to meditate upon, that we find important for the ritual. But another ritual, for example, let me give you an example, right? We have to cook for the deity, right? When we cook, maybe we're making chapatis, so we're kneading the dough with 2 hands, right? We're using our left hand to cook for the deity. But if we do Abhishekam of Krishna or a Shalagram or something like that, we never touch the deity in the Abhishekam with the left hand because the left hand in the Abhishekam is considered dirty. But in the kitchen, is the left hand considered dirty?
No.
No? Because we use it quite often.
Yeah.
Again, though, when we eat, we should use the right hand and not use the left hand. So prasadam should be touched with the right hand, but we wouldn't give prasadam to people with the left hand, right? Because that would be culturally insensitive, right? But also we would consider that to be impure, right? An impure way of, although prasadam cannot be contaminated, still the nice thing to do would be to give people prasadam with the left hand or to serve it with some implement like that. If we've got the implement in our hands, the implement is touching which hand, the left hand or the right hand. Even if you're using a spoon, are you going to use a spoon with the left hand or with the right hand? So,
For the right.
all of these things are different levels of detail. Yeah.
Mhm.
And some people go to the ultimate end of detail and some people don't, like that. Okay. So, and in different situations, you can use the left hand or not use the left hand. So in puja, we try to avoid using the left hand, but in cooking, we may need to use it.
Yes. Okay.
Right. Okay. So anyway, so getting back to that. So now we're doing the Anga Vandanam, which is a type of nyasa at the second part of Achmana. So Vasudevaya Namaha, Sankarsana Namaha, Pradyumna Namaha, Aniruddha Namaha, Purushotama Namaha for the eyes, Adhoksajana and Nrsimha Namaha for the ears, touching the ears. Achyutaya Namaha, touch the navel, right? Janardana Namaha, touch the heart, right? Now the heart, some people touch over on the right, over on the left side where the heart actually is, the physical heart is, and otherwise you can just touch in the middle of the chest.
Okay.
Yeah. So then Om Upendraya Namaha, touch the head. The head, there are different parts on the head, right? We have some people, when they say touch the head, they touch the forehead. Some people touch the top of the head, the Brahmarandra. Some people touch the Shika. In Nyasa, in Anganyasa, in Saranganyasa, right? There's three basic types of Nyasa. You've got the Mantra Nyasa, which you just say before any mantra to identify the Rishi, the Devata, and the Chanda, and the Viniyoga, which is the purpose of the mantra, right? To identify different aspects of the mantra, you touch your head, you touch in front of your nose or mouth, and you touch your heart, and you fold your palms in like this when you say the purpose of the mantra. This is called mantra nyasa. That's also described in Haribhakti Vilas. It's also described in other places too. According to Chandogya Upanishad, everybody has to know these things. Otherwise, you shouldn't chant a mantra unless you know the rishi of the mantra, unless you know the meter of the mantra, the poetic meter, the chanda, the devata, the particular deity that the mantra is praying to, right? And then the viniyoga, the purpose for chanting the mantra. So you have to know those four things. In Chandogya Upanishad, there was one sage. He asked these Brahmins at a sacrifice, "Do you know what you're chanting? Do you know the meaning of it? Do you know the purpose of it? Do you know the poetic meter? Do you know this thing?" And they said, "Well, we don't know." He said, "Oh no, if you have to know. If you don't know, your head will fall off or your head will explode or whatever." So he just pointed out that you have to know, right? So we always do that before we do a particular mantra. In this particular Sandhya Vandanam, I have left some of those out because it makes the whole thing much, much longer. So the rule is, and it's there also in Haribhakti Vilas, the rule is at least you have to know. You have to know the Rishi, you have to know the Chanda, you have to know the Devata, you have to know the Viniyoga. But normally people say not only you have to know, but you actually have to do the mantra nyas before you say the mantra to show that you know, right? Okay. So that's the first type of nyasa. The second type of nyasa is you've got this nyasa called karanyas and anganyas. Karanyas, kara means hand, or it also means sign. Karanyasa is on the fingers, and anganyasa is on the top of the body, mainly six places on the body, so upper body. Okay, so those are nyasas, right? Now here, this is simply Anga Vandanam. It's a type of nyasa, simple nyasa that comes at the second part of Achman. So we are about to finish here by touching the navel, touch the heart, and then touch the head. So touching the head could be probably on top of the head like this or in the forehead. It probably would not be the sika because normally in Anganyas, they make a distinction between the head and the sika.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So then we have touching the right shoulder and touching the left shoulder. Now, some people touch with the right hand, they touch the right shoulder. Some people touch the right hand to the right shoulder and then touch it to the left shoulder. Other people will touch the left hand to the right to the right shoulder and the right hand to the left shoulder, like that, crossing the hands over like that. I don't know anybody who touches the right hand to the right shoulder and the left hand to the left shoulder, but that's also possible. That's also possible, right? Even though because it's not actually mentioned how to do it. This is a case of where you actually would like to see somebody who is a traditional practitioner of this type of achmana, right? Do it. If you see a person do it, probably if you come to Karnataka or Andhra Pradesh like that, and you see one of these smartas or madhvas doing this type of achmana, you'll with 24 names. Maybe if they cross their hands with that. I'm not sure whether they have exactly the same things that they touch, right? Well, we could look it up. I could look it up and I could find out, because this is not the type of Achimana I do anyway. So normally I do the 12 name Achimana, which is common for Smartas and Sri Vaishnavas in Tamil Nadu, like that, which is, it's only 3 names for sipping and then 12 names. So it's 15 names, 12 names of the Upavyuhas. So it starts off with Achyutaya Namaha, Anantaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha. The reason it starts with Achyuta, Ananta, Govinda is because there's a famous sloka in Vishnu Sahasranama in the Palashruti, in the section of Vishnu Sahasranama that tells us the benefits of chanting the 1,000 names of Vishnu. There's this particular sloka which says Achyuta, Ananta, Govinda, Namo Charana Beshajat Sat, and it says that by chanting these 3 names, all diseases will go away. So, and it's also that is also quoted in Ayurveda. Ayurveda says that by chanting these 3 names, the disease will go away. So that's why people use it, and it's come to be used in Ayurveda like that. Okay, so that's Achmana. So we do that. After we finish doing that, we're going to do it twice. We're going to do it twice. We're going to do it first all the way through, then we're going to do it again all the way through, like that. As I said, in the Archana Padadis and Archana Dipikas and Pancharatra Pradipas and other books which have come from Haribhakti Vilas, which is Haribhakti Vilas made short, there's another type of Achmana, which is a shorter type of Achmana. They call this one a special Achmana or Vishesha Achmana with 24 names, where really in Haribhakti Vilas it's considered to be the basic Achmana. And then they have another one in these shortened textbooks, which are by Bhaktivedanta, Bhaktisiddhanta, or by modern Gaudiya Maths and ISKCON. They make a distinction, and they make a shorter one, which is just 3 names. Keshavaya Namaha, Narayana Namaha, Madhavaya Namaha. Just sip, 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 and then wash your hands. And some of them even say Govindaya Namaha, Vishnu Namaha, wash your hands, like that. So that's what they call Sadharana or general Achmana or simple Achmana. Simple. And this will be special, like that. But I'm showing this as special Achmana. Okay, so the next thing we do is pranayamaha. Pranayamaha is, there's different types of pranayamaha. There's pranayamaha, which is Vedic, and pranayamaha, which is agamic or tantric or Puranic or whatever, non-Vedic, let's say. Okay, so in doing that, it says here, hold the right nostril closed with the right thumb and breathe in through the left nostril, close the left nostril also with the little and ring finger of the right hand, and hold the breath and chant the following mantra in your mind, and then breathe out. So as I was mentioning to you before, there are these different parts of pranayamaha. There's the inhaling, the holding of the breath, and then the exhaling of the breath. There's also a 4th part, which is holding the breath outside after you exhale and you have no air in your lungs. But we don't worry about that normally. In certain tantric practices, maybe people are doing that, or for health reasons. If people do pranayama for health reasons, they might be doing these 4 stages. But in ritualism, normally it's 3 stages: breathing in, holding, and then exhaling. This is called Purvaka, Kumbhaka, and Rechaka. Okay, now when people do pranayama, sometimes what they do is before they start, they exhale. They exhale completely before they start, and then they only start on the inhale. So there's actually 4 stages. So they exhale first, then inhale, then hold, then exhale. That'll be one pranayama, like that. And then if you have to repeat the pranayama, again, it's only going to be 3. So the first one might have 4 steps, the second one, and future ones might have 3. So, but here I made it simple, and I've just said, just breathe in, hold, and breathe out. Now, when you're doing a ritual, sometimes the ritual priests, they'll just hold the nose, or just hold near the nose, and they'll just say the mantra out loud without breathing in, holding, and exhaling, because they're not really doing the pranayama, but they're just chanting the mantra for the pranayama. That's quite common, and people do that, and that's sort of accepted that people can do that. If you really want to do the pranayama with the breathing, definitely you have to do it in your mind, because obviously you're breathing. Okay, so the mantra that's used is called Dirgha Gayatri. It's made up of 3 mantras. The first is the first line of the mantras, right? And it says here, touch your right ear. Touch your right ear after you do this, because you touch your nose, which again is considered to be impure, and your right ear is pure. Okay, So you purify your hand again. So no need to wash your hands after pranayama if you touch your right hand like that. However, some people, what they do is they take, if they're wearing a pavitra ring, kushagrass ring, they take the kushagrass ring off sometimes and put it on the right ear to keep it pure while they touch the nose.
Okay.
Another thing you can do, though, is normally in the beginning, you will wear a kushagrass ring, but you take what's called, you take another set of kushagrass. The kushagrass ring goes on, and then you have another 2 blades of kushagrass, which are called nuni darba, and they're very short, maybe less than a span long, right? Maybe 4 angulas long or something like that. You take a couple of pieces of darba like that, and you wrap those also around your ring finger on top of the kushagrass ring. So then after you do pranayama and sankalpa, after you do pranayama, then you throw it away. You throw those 2 away. Those act like a covering, which can be shed, and the ring stays pure. But many times people just take the ring off and put it on their ear. Okay, so this nuni darba thing is usually done only in the very first part of when a puja is done. Okay, so now we're going to do the pranayama, and so we were talking about the Dirgha Gayatri, which is the 3 lines of this mantra, which we're going to chant in our mind if we're doing the actual breathing. Is going to be, the first line is going to be Om, the pranava, with 7 vyahritis. There's a special words that represent the 7 planetary systems or 7 chakras in the body, whatever, because the external world and the internal world have a relationship. So we can meditate upon those things while we're saying these vyahritis, special syllables in Sanskrit called vyahritis. So the vyahritis, the sapta vyahritis, or the 7 syllables are Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Sva in North India, according to Shukla Yajurveda. In Krishna Yajurveda, that Sva is pronounced Suvaha. Suvaha, right?
Suvaha.
Yeah. Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, and Satyam, right? Now, when we chant Vedic mantras, when we have an Anuswara, which is an M with a dot, either on top or below it, right? The Anuswara is a pure nasal sound, right? When that pure nasal sound is followed by certain letters, it's pronounced as gum. It's pronounced as gum. Okay. So when it's we'll teach all the rules and everything about Vedic chanting. I'll give you some. You can have some. Anybody wants to know about all the rules of Vedic chanting, they can get in touch with me. I'll send you some, at least of Krishna Yajurveda chanting. I'll send you some, a little course, little booklet, and with audios of examples of how to chant Krishna Yajurveda. Okay, so now, in an easy way, it's called Vedic chanting made easy. Okay, so now, for just now, let's say that when the Anuswara, the M with the dot under it or over it, is followed by an S, it's pronounced like a gum. So we have 2 vyahritis, Suvaha or Sva, and Satyam, which begin with an S. So when we say, we can say Om Bhuhu, we can say Om Bhuvaha, we can say Om Mahaha, we can say Om Janaha. But when it comes to Suvaha and Satyam, we have to say Ogum Suvaha, Ogum Satyam. Got it? Okay. So the first line, which is called the Sapta Vyahritis, right, is Om Bhuhu, Om Bhuvaha, Ogum Suvaha, Om Mahaha, Om Janaha, Om Tapaha, Ogum Satyam. And the Visargas at the end, Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Maha, Janaha, Tapaha. These are all pronounced because, and you'll see that I've put in the text here, I put this danda. In Sanskrit, we only have 2 types of punctuation. It's a danda and a double danda. So it's a stick, and 2 sticks together. We can think of a stick as a half, as a comma in English, and 2 sticks as like a full stop or a period. So 1 stick ends a half verse, and 2 sticks ends a verse usually in verse Sanskrit. Okay, so we also know that between a word on one side of the stick and the other side of the stick, or 2 sticks, right? There's no sandhi. There's no changing of the ending letters and beginning letters of the 2 words. But if we, for instance, if we have an Anustubh sloka, which is 32 syllables, if we write it in eight lines, there is sandhi. There are rules for joining the letter at the end of the first line with the beginning of the second line because there's no stick there. So some people write some people write a sloka they only end the line with a stick. So they'll write Bhagavad Gita slokas, for instance, anustup in 2 lines instead of 4. So sometimes we like to see 4 lines, sometimes we like to see 2 lines. But the point is there's no sandhi. The stick shows us either a comma or a period or a full stop, that we don't do sandhi with the next part, the next word afterwards. So here, after each vyahriti, we put a stick, we put a danda. So ombuhu. So when you get a visarga or an H with a dot under it, followed by a stick or a double stick, a dunda or a double dunda, you have to pronounce it fully as an echo, right? How do we pronounce that echo? We echo the vowel that comes before it. So if we have a short A, it's aha. If it's a long A, it's aha.
Yeah.
There's a difference between aha and aha, right? Then with I, it's ihi, ihi, uhu, uhu, for short and long U, right? You don't usually find the visarga coming after re or re, but you do find it also coming after diphthongs, A, I, O, ow. Now remember, these are all long. These are all long vowels. So ehe, right? And oho. Now, what about I and ow? In I and ow are such letters that only the second part of the letter is echoed with if a visarga comes after it and there's a dunda or double dunda. So I, he, ow, who. Understand? So we have aha, aha, short and long. He, he, short and long. Uhu, uhu, short and long. Ehe, long. Oho, long. Aihi, long. Auhu, long. Okay? That's how to properly pronounce the visarga. Some people don't know how to pronounce visarga in every situation. There are other rules about visarga and how it's to be pronounced when it's followed by a P or PH in the next word without a dunda in between, or K and KH. These are 2 special pronunciations. The one when it's followed by a P or PH, it's pronounced like almost like the F in English, right? O namadaf, o namidam, like that, right? That is called upadmaniya. That's a type of pronunciation called upadmaniya. And Jivamaliya, where you get a K and a KH, it's almost pronounced like X. It becomes like the ich in German, or like the loch in Scottish. Okay, so now we have this ombuhu, ombulaha, ogum sulaha, maha, janaha, tapaha, ogum satyam. Then we have the Gayatri mantra without the vyahritis. Normally, when we chant Gayatri japa, we say the 3 vyahritis. Om Bhur Bhuva Suvaha, or Om Bhur Bhuva Swa if you're in North India. In South India, Krishna Yajurveda, Om Bhur Bhuva Suvaha, like that. Then you have the Gayatri mantra, which comes from the Vedas, Tat Savito Varenyam, Bhargo Devasi Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat, like that. It is 3 lines of 8 syllables, which is the Gayatri meter, or the poetic meter of Gayatri. So now the way it's chanted in Krishna Yajurveda is like this: Om Tat Savito Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayate. Right. So we notice that the naf is there. That the upadmaniya is shown here. If you see an H with a little moon under it, that's to be pronounced like an F. If you see the swara markings here, the swara markings, which we didn't see except in the first line on Satyam, there's a anudata. There are three swara markings, or 4 swara markings, 3 that we have to take note of. There's Ucherudataha, Nicharanudata, and Samahaswaritaha. These are the Panini sutras for the grammar sutras for these different Vedic markings. So normally what we do is we call, when there's a vertical line above a letter, it indicates that we go up a little bit in tone. So that is called a swarita. if there are two vertical lines, there's what's called a dirgha swarita or longa swarita. Now that is, we have to talk about that. There are rules for Vedic chanting, and again, I'll tell you like that. In the Gayatri, we have that on the E in Varenyam, and we have it on the A, the last A in Prachodayat. So we have Varenyam Prachodayate, like that. And the T before a danda, T, when we have a consonant like T or K or something like that, we tend to add a slight E sound after that, right? And this is all just to do with pronunciation. So we have that. If you see a letter that doesn't have one of these markings, either the danda on, a swarita or a double swarita, dirgha swarita above it, or it doesn't have a line underneath it, which is a low tone. The line underneath it is a low tone. Tat sa vi tu, like this, right? So you go up and you go down, sa vi, like that. So that is Vedic chanting. Okay, so that is called an anudata, which is a low tone. Okay, so that's very briefly a little bit about Vedic chanting, but you'll learn more. I'll send you. We can send you a little booklet on learning Vedic chanting. There's a couple of them around, and examples of how the chanting is done. So that is the Gayatri mantra, and I just chanted it. Then the next line is called the Gayatri Shiras. Shiras means the head, so it's called the Gayatri head mantra. So this is Om Apo Jyoti Rasomritam Brahma Bhur Bhuvaswarom. Okay, so all together these three lines make up what's called Dirgha Gayatri or long Gayatri. So it goes like this: Om Bhohu, Om Bhuvaha, Om Suvaha, Om Mahaha, Om Janaha, Om Tapaha, Om Satyam, Om Datsavare Enyam Bargore Vasidima Hidio Yonaf Prachodayate, Om Apo Jyoti Rasomritam Brahma Bhur Bhuvaswarom. That is what you chant in your mind while you're doing the breathing. Or you chant it out loud and then you touch your right ear. Okay, so moving on, the next thing is a sankalpa. Sankalpa is a vow. And the vow is sometimes we take some akshara in our hand and clenched fist and put it on top of our turned right palm on top of the right knee. Or we just grasp the two hands like this at right angles over the top of the right knee. And then later on we'll just put some water through the right hand to make a vow, right? So normally when you make a vow in Vedic culture, you touch water. It says touch water. Touch water means you put some water through there. You put some water, and by touching the water, it's like promising to do a particular thing. So this is called sankalpa. Okay, so next we're going to do a very simple sankalpa. We're going to say prataha sandhimupashishe. I am going to do the morning twilight prayers. Pratasanyam. Take water in the udarani, the spoon, right, and panchapatra with the left hand, and placing the spoonful of water in the right palm. Let it flow into the argya patra, which is the plate. You have a plate with a rim. If you're sitting inside, so that you don't get water on the floor, you have a plate which you hold the water into, like that, through the right fingers, like that. So pour some water like that. If you're outside, you can just pour the water on the ground, like that, when you do a sankalpa. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing is called prokshana, right? Prokshana is the first part after the sankalpa. So the preliminaries for any puja, any ritual, is achamana pranayama and sankalpa. That's the preliminaries for anything. So if I say to you, do a wedding, do a funeral, do a shraddha, do a homa, do a japa, right? Achmana pranayam sankalpa. Everybody, you have to start with those three things. Now, the next thing, first thing that we're doing is prokshana. Prokshana means sprinkling. So we're going to sprinkle ourselves for purity. We've already got up in the morning, we've taken bath, we've put on ritual clothing, like a dhoti or a sari or whatever. Now we're going to sprinkle ourselves with water, right, with some mantras. This is like a mantra bath. Okay. There are 7 types of baths, I think, 7 or 8 types of baths mentioned in Manusmriti, Manusamhita. And in the other Smriti Shastras also say Agneya, by touching the burned ash from a holy fire, getting dust from the hooves of cows, just by chanting a mantra, apavitra pavitrova, one becomes purified. By sprinkling oneself with water with particular mantras, it's a mantra bath. By actually immersing yourself in water, and that water should be pure water, like a pond or a river, or or the ocean, right? Because the pure water, rainwater is not considered pure. It's up in the sky. The pure water is the water that is kept in bhumi, in the earth, because the earth is the goddess who is a wife of Lord Vishnu, and therefore she's completely pure. And water which is kept in the earth is pure. As soon as you take it out of the earth and put it through a pipe, if you pump it up through a pipe, the pipe makes it impure. If you put it in an overhead tank in your house and it flows to you, it's impure. If you turn the tap on and it comes through a pipe, it's impure. It's only pure when it's in the river, in the lake, in the sea. When it's in Mother Earth, when it's with Mother Earth. So the taking a bath will usually be done in a river or a lake, or in the sea, or from a well. From a well, we can take a pure vessel made of silver or copper or brass, some which is being cleaned very nicely. We can attach it to a rope made of coconut fiber, probably. Plastic might not be the best, but anyway, attach it to a proper pure rope. Throw it in a well, right? Fill it up with water in the well. Bring it up, and then we can take bath with that water too. Okay. Apart from that, there's no way to take a pure bath according to really strict Orthodox Hindu and Vaishnava smarta ritualism. Okay. So prokshana is a type of bath. Is sprinkling water, right? So that water that you're using for achmana and prokshana and all these things like that, that also should be coming from the well. It should be coming from the sea or the ocean. You're not going to sip water from the sea, but coming from the river or the pond or something like that. Yeah. Okay. So then it's pure. If it's kept in the earth, it's pure. Okay. So now we're going to do that prokshana. What we're going to do is we're going to take some fingers, either the ring finger or maybe the middle two fingers like that, and we're going to sprinkle water on different parts of the body. And I don't think I've mentioned here exactly where to sprinkle, but you have to sprinkle on the head. You have to sprinkle the second last thing. You have to sprinkle on the feet, and then again on the head, right? But since we're sitting down, since we're sitting down inside, I just said, okay, just sprinkle on yourself. But normally we have this mantra. So it's useful to use this mantra too, because you use it in Abhishek for when you pour water on the deity. So it goes like this. Om apo histama yobhavastano jedidatana mahedana yajakchaseyo vashivatamo rasahas sasyabhajyate hanaha usatiriva mataraha tasma arangamamavo yashakshaya yajinvata apo janeta chanaha. And then take some water in the right palm, encircle your head with that water, and say Om Bhurbhavat Suvaha. Right? Okay. So now, don't try to learn the mantras from when I'm chanting them now. You should learn the mantras from a Vedapati, somebody who knows the complete Veda. Otherwise, you should learn the mantras from a person who knows the mantras very strictly, right? Otherwise, you can get a tape recording of somebody who is like that, and you can listen to it if that's the thing. But now I'm repeating so many mantras and things like that. There may be some mistakes. So we say mantra hinam kriyanam bhakti hinam janatana. We're not this video and everything should not be taken as a thing to learn the mantras from. Learn the mantras separately, please. Okay. Okay. So then. This is just to explain the procedure. Okay, so then prasana. Prasana means sipping of water, right? So we're also going to purify ourselves by now. We sprinkled ourselves with this water, with this mantra, and we're going to now sip some water. So we're going to take, like Achman, we take some water in our right palm, and we say the following mantra, and at the end of the mantra, we're going to sip the water through the Brahmatirtha. So like that. So this is where morning, noon, and evening mantras are a little different. In the morning, it goes Om Suryascha. In the evening, it goes Om Agnischa. In the noon, it says Apapurantu. It's a completely different mantra. But the morning and the evening mantras, this is why I say learn morning first, Sandhya Vandana, then learn evening, because evening will be very similar to morning. but noon will be slightly different. So leave that for last, right? Okay, so Om Suryastamam Manyustamam Yupadestamam Yukadebhyaha Papebhyo Rakshantam Yadratri Papam Akarisham Manasa Vacha Hastabhyam Padbhyamadharena Shishna Ratvistaravalumpatu Yatkinchiduritam Magi Idamaham Mamamriti now Surya Jyotijohami Swaha sip water. Okay? So then after we do that, we have to do Achman again. So we do Achman again one time. All right, and then we move on to Puna Prokshana. We're going to sprinkle ourselves again. The same mantra is going to be used, but we're going to add another mantra. And this mantra is also a good mantra to learn because the first mantra we use for Prokshana, Apo Histama, that is for pouring water on a deity or for pouring water on anybody like that. And the second one is for pouring yogurt on a deity.
Oh.
Right? Yeah, so it helps us.
Yeah.
So this is why learning Sandhya Vandana, you do two things at once. You learn Sandhya Vandana, but you also learn some other mantras which you can use in other rituals. So here we have this Puna Prakshana. We do the same thing. We're going to sprinkle water on our head. And then the second last mantra, right, of Apohistamaya Bhava, Tasmad Arangamamava Yasyakshayaya Jinbata, we sprinkle on the feet, and then Apojanayatachanaha back on the head. So all of it's on the head except for Yasyakshayaya Jinbata, which I haven't mentioned here because it was too complicated for most people. Maybe I should redo this and make it more complicated. This is a simplified version, and everybody's sitting down while they do this, so naturally it's not a big difference. Okay, so here we go. We have the Dadi Krabnal mantra. So, and remember, all of these mantras have mantra nyasas to do before them, but I've left those out to make it also much simpler for people to learn. So, Om Dadi Krabno Akarisham Jishnora Swasya Vajina Hasurabino Mukha Karate Prana Yugam Sitari Sate. Then Apo, his Dama Yobastano Jitaratanama Hairdanai, Chakse Yobas with the Morasa Tasibaje, Tehan House, the Yuvmatra, Tasmadarangamama Vahai, Shakshaya, Jimbatapo, Janetachana, Borvasivaha, again put some water in your hand and circle around your head. Okay, so now comes the first part of Sandhya Vandanam, the main act in the first part of Sandhya Vandanam, which is Argya Pradhanam, or offering Argya to the sun. Argya means plain water, which is going to be offered with two hands, like that, to the sun while on tippy toes, while up on your toes, like that. So this represents shooting missiles at the Mahindaras, who are demons that are attacking the sun, like that. We can think of these as the sun is trying to clear our mind and trying to enthuse our meditation, which is what the Gayatri says. Oh, Lord Savitur, please enthuse our meditation, you know? And so we're trying to think more clearly and meditate more clearly, and Savitur, the Lord Surya Narayana, is trying to help us. And the Mahindaras are attacking him. So these are the demons of doubt and confusion. We can think of them like that. So we are going to shoot some missiles at them to help the sun destroy them. So in the morning and in the evening, we offer 3 missiles, and in the noon either 1 or 2, like that, because the sun is the strongest in noontime. In the morning and the evening he's less strong. So when he's less strong, we need to offer more missiles. When he's more strong, we need to offer less missiles, like that. So this Argya Pradhanam, okay, so it says here, stand up. So even if you're doing it inside, you should probably do it standing up. Some people might be very, very lazy and they might do it sitting down if they're inside, or maybe they don't, they want to, when they pour the water, they want to make sure it gets in the plate and not on the floor. If you're in a carpeted area or someplace where the water shouldn't go on the floor, then maybe you can sit down, or at least when you go to offer the water, you can put your hands down and offer it into the plate. Okay, so just, you have to adjust sometimes for these things. Imagine if you're in a country where it's snowing outside and you have to do these things inside. Normally Vaishnavas and Hindus and Smartas, they'll all live in places that are tropical, and so therefore they'll all be doing this outside, and they won't worry about it. But we have to make certain adjustments for time, place, and circumstance. So okay, so now we're going to simply offer. Now, some people, before this happens, they do a separate sankalpa just for this part, because the Argya Pradhanam, the offering of the Argya to the sun, Surya Argya, is the main part of the first part of Gayatri, of Sandhya Vandanam. So some people will they'll say, Argya Pradhanam, Kurisye, and whatever. But here I've left that out because it's not necessary, because the sankalpa that we did in the beginning itself, is for Sandhya Vandana. It's okay. Argya Pradhanam is a part of it. But sometimes, and we can learn from this, because in other rituals, sometimes people do sankalpas for every different part of the ritual. If I'm doing a wedding, right, I'll do a sankalpa in the beginning. I'll make a vow to do the wedding. But then when the bride and groom meet, and the father of the bride is giving away the girl in Kanyadanam, when he's giving the bride to the groom, right? Then we can do a separate sankalpa just for the Kanyadanam,
Okay.
or a separate sankalpa just for the Laja Homam, or whatever it is, the Dhruva Darshanam, whatever part of the wedding we're doing. So it's possible to do a big sankalpa in the beginning, which mentions all the little sankalpas, all the little vows, a big vow in the beginning of a ritual. It's also possible to do a vow as you go along, do these little vows as you go along for each different part.
Okay.
Or you can leave it out. You can say, I'm just doing a wedding and I'm just doing it. And whatever parts should be included. Okay, so with this, we just chant the Gayatri with the 3 Vyahritis. Om Bhurvavasvaharatvararenyam Bargoreva Siddhimahi Dhiyo Na Prachodaya Ate, and we offer some water like this in the 2 palms. Now, if you're doing this sitting down, or if you're doing this inside, if you're unable to do it with both palms, you can do it with the right palm. You can take some water from the Panchapatra, place it in the right palm, and pour it like that. Pour it through the fingers of the right palm.
Okay, for fingers. Okay.
Yeah. If you're outside, you take either, you could also take the gindi or sort of spouted water pot, hold it between 2 hands and do like this. You can also, if you want to do it with 2 hands, which is what most Sri Vaishnavas do, is they take between the thumb and the ring and the ring, not the ring finger, the index finger and the thumb is like, they take the Panchapatra like this in the right hand, right? Hold it to the side, and then tip it towards the middle and offer it like that. And that way you can
must be very expert.
No, it's not so hard. It's not so hard. You take a thing like this. See, I've got a cup here like that. I take it and I just hold it, and then I just tip some water like that. Okay. All right. So this is done 3 times in the morning, 2 times in 1 or 2 times in noon, and 3 times in the evening, right? Then after that, we do the pranayama. We do pranayama again, right? We already described how to do pranayama. So after pranayama, we touch the right ear, and again, we do another sankalpa. Now, this sankalpa is usually done. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it, but it mentions Prayasthita Argya Pradhanam Karisye. We're going to offer one more time. We're going to offer one more Argya to the sun, right? And this Argya is going to do Prayasthita. Prayasthita means that if we've made any mistake, or we've left anything out, this is going to cover it. So this Prayasthita Argya, right, is like if we're not doing Sandhya Vandanam at the exact right time, we have to do it early or we have to do it late, right? We can't do it exactly at dawn. We can't do it exactly at dusk. We can't do it exactly at noon. Then we can offer this one more Prayasthita Argya. Now, in practice, everybody just does the Prayasthita Argya because we don't know. Maybe we made some mistake and we just want to offer one more Argya and clear away the mistake. Prayasthita Argya. So we do this Argya again. Same thing, up on the tips of our toes, and offer the water with the Gayatri mantra. Like that. Okay, right. So we do that. That's finished. Then it says here Atma Pradakshina. There's a few different ways that people do this. The Atma is there within the body, and Pradakshina means to go round clockwise. To go round something is called Pradakshina. Dakshina means south. Normally, when we start off, we're facing east. So if we go to the south, it means we're going clockwise. So Pradakshina in Sanskrit means to go clockwise around something. and it's considered auspicious. Why is it considered auspicious? Because the right side of our body is considered more auspicious. So when we circumambulate a temple or our parents or whoever we want to show some respect to, we show the right side of our body to them. We don't show the left side. Show the right side. Go around like this. That is called pradakshina. Okay. So pradakshina, Atma pradakshina, Om Bhurvava Suvaha, encircle the head once again with this water kept in the palm, and we keep the water in the palm, and the water, when we encircle the head clockwise, the water will flow out the fingers like this, as we do like that. Yeah. Placing the Panchapatra down next to the Argya plate, meditate on the Supreme Lord with the Anjali Mudra. This is Anjali Mudra, prayer-like in front of the chest. And then say, Asavarityo Brahma, which means the Supreme Lord is Brahma, means Brahman, means the Supreme Lord, right? It's the name of Vishnu, right? It doesn't mean Chadumukha Brahma. It doesn't mean the creator Brahma. It means the Supreme Brahman. Yeah? Asavarityo Brahma. Asavarityo Brahma. Aditya. Aditya means the Lord of the sun. He is Brahma. He's Brahma. He's Brahma. He's the Supreme. Yeah? Asavarityo Brahma. Okay. The next what we're going to do is Tarpana. The Tarpana is done. Those Upavyuha forms, Keshava to Damodar, we're going to offer Tarpana. Tarpana is also where we offer water, right, through the hand. Now, this can be done with one hand, or it can be done with two hands, whatever it is like that. And we're just saying Om Keshavam Tarpayami, Narayan Tarpayami, Malam Tarpayami, Govindam Tarpayami. And we can just put more water in the hand and let it flow out onto the plate through the fingers. Okay. So, Om Keshavam Tarpayami, Om Narayanam Tarpayami, Om Madhavam Tarpayami, Om Govindam Tarpayami, Om Vishnu Tarpayami, Om Madhusudanam Tarpayami, Om Trikram Tarpayami, Om Vamanam Tarpayami, Om Shriram Tarpayami, Om Rishikesham Tarpayami, Om Padmanabham Tarpayami, Om Damodaram Tarpayami. Right. So then when that's finished, right, now some people include the planets, right? Some people do the planets, Om Adityam Tarpayami, Om Sonam Tarpayami, Om Namgarakam Tarpayami, Om Buddham Tarpayami, Om, but whatever. They do the planets, the 9 planets as well. Not necessary, mostly Vaishnavas don't, but there are some Vaishnavas who do. Okay, it's up to you. Right, so then now we have I made it simple here. So then we have again pranayamaha. We know how to do pranayamaha. So again, that's right here at the end of pranayamaha, and we're doing another sankalpa. That is the end of the first part of Sandhya Vandanam, which is called the Jala Bhaga, or the part where we use Jala or water, mostly use water. The next part is called the Japa Bharga, where we do the chanting, the Japa. Jamanishad Papanashana iti Japaha. Japa, or the chanting of certain mantras, is meant to destroy rebirth and sin. That the definition of japa comes from 2 words. It's a compound word. Ja stands for janma, and pa stands for papa. So janma means birth, papa means sin. So janmanishad, destroying, getting rid of a future janmas, a future births, and papa nashana, destroying sin, is the process called japa. Janmanishad papa nashana iti japaha. Okay? Is thus japa. Okay, so now we do the sankalpa for the second part. So the sankalpa that we say for the second part is Prataha Sandhya Gayatri Maha Mantra Japam Karishye. Karishye means I will do, right? I will do the japa, I will do the counting, chanting, the whispering, because japa is whispering, like that. In the Gayatri mantra, normally we're doing it mentally. It's mental japa. Yeah. But there are 3 types of chanting. There's the mental, there's the out loud, right? Which is called, so you have vachika, which is out loud, so everybody can hear, like on kirtan or bhajan. You in the mind, which nobody can hear, right? Manasik, right? And what we call upamamsu, and sometimes upamamsu is called japa. Okay, so upamamsu means whispering or murmuring. It would be using the tongue and lips to create the sounds of the mantra, but a person sitting next to us will not be able to hear it. It's so soft. This is called upamamsu. Okay, so these 3 types. In Hari Bhakti Vilas, it mentions about these, and it says that each one is 100 times greater benefit than the other. So 100 times greater than Vachika is Upamamsu, 100 times greater than Upamamsu is Manasika. Mental is the best. Thousands better. Okay, so normally Gayatri Mantra, japa in Sandhya Vandanam, we're doing mentally. And we're counting on the fingers. There's different ways to count on the fingers, which I'll describe next. Okay, so we say the Sankalpa that we are Prataha Sandhya. We mentioned the time in the morning. Gayatri is the name of the mantra. And Maha Mantra, it's a Maha Mantra, Japam, counting or chanting, and Krishya. I'm going to do that. Then we do the Pranayamaha. Now, in the videos, if you see the videos of me doing this like this, I do anyasa for doing this Pranayamaha, but this is where you do Pranayamaha more times before you do the chanting of the thing. So I don't know what I've said here. It says here, do it once and then repeat it 9 times, 10 times before you do Gayatri. So some people do 1 time, some people do 3 times, some people do.
What is the importance of the pranayam in the chanting of the in the Sandhya Vandanam? What is the purpose?
Pranayam, as we were discussing before, pranayam, even in Hari Bhakti Vilas, it mentions that the process of pranayam is a purificatory process. It can destroy sins. So pranayam is, but actually, let me say that the breathing, controlling of the breath, is to calm the mind and to calm the body. So just like somebody will say to another person, "Oh, you're so angry. Calm down. Take a few deep breaths. Take a few deep breaths." That's pranayam. Pranayam means you might be in some excited emotional state, either anger or some other state, and the person says, "Just relax." And maybe you just ran 10 miles and you're very out of breath. Just relax. Sit down. Control your breathing, and control. In order to control your mind, you should first of all be able to control your body. So you first control the breathing. After controlling the breathing, then we're able to control. The Buddhists also do this. They say meditate upon the Hindu type of meditation. People meditate on the breath, the ingoing breath, the outgoing breath. In fact, there's a mantra in Sanskrit. There's a mantra which represents the ingoing and outgoing breath. They say this is called ajapa mantra. Ajapa mantra. So japa means we say the mantra. Ajapa means we don't even say the mantra. And this mantra everybody chants every day, thousands of times, much more than people chant Hare Krishna or Gayatri or whatever. People chant this mantra every day, and so hum saha. This is Sanskrit. So hum saha. So hum means I am like the Supreme. I am similar to God, because I am spiritual and God is also spiritual. I'm a small piece, particle of Godhead. I've come from God. So hum saha, right? So hum saha. Right, the full meaning of the mantra, is it's a long discussion. But anyway, Soham Ham Saha is called the Ajapa mantra, like that. And every day people chant it 70,000 times, or how many of the times you breathe in and out, you're chanting that mantra. Soham Ham Saha. Okay, so the point I was making was that meditation on the breath is very important in Hinduism and Buddhism in general. People meditate upon the breath to calm the mind, like that. So because mantra, what does mantra mean? Mantraha means manaha trayate iti mantraha. Trayate means to control or to right. So manaha means mind. A mantra means to control the mind. So this pranayama is helping us to control the body before we control the mind.
Okay.
So physically, that's what it's for. It's a purification. All the different steps in Sandhya Vandanam are all purificatory, different types of purification. Sandhya Vandanam, pranayama is just one of them. So here before we chant the Gayatri, we are doing some more pranayama. Okay, so we do that pranayama either once or thrice or 10 times or whatever. So then we do another sankalpa. The sankalpa is Gayatri avahanam karishye. So karishye again means I will do. Avahanam. Now, see, in puja, we want to call the deity to come, and then we worship the deity, and then we do valediction. That's called avahanam, or invocation. And valediction at the end, or visarjana, is we say, okay, my Lord, you were in Vaikuntha or in Goloka or something like that. I called you to come here and worship you. Now you go about your business, go back to your Nitya Leelas, go back to your what you were doing go back to being served by all the gopis and all the parshads, all your attendants in Vaikuntha or whatever. Go back to that, right? Even in Sri Vaishnavism, before puja, we have a mantra, Kurmadin Divyalokam Tarmanimayam Mantapam Tatchashesham Tasmin Dharmadi Geetam Tarparikamalam Chamaragrahi Nistyam Vishnum Devi Bhusharidamuragam Paruke Vainateyam. Vainateyam means Garuda, right? Senesham means Vishvaksena. Senesham Dwarapalan, the Jaya Vijaya, Bala Prabala, Chandra, Data Vidata. These are the gatekeepers or security guards of Vaikuntha. Senesham Dwarapalan, Kumudaksha. These are also other attendants of Vishnu. Kumuda, what was it? Lost the train. Senesham Dwarapalan Kumuda Mukha Ganan Vishnu Bhaktan Prapadye. I surrender to those devotees of Lord Vishnu who are worshipping him eternally in Vaikuntha, and I ask their permission. Please, you are serving him. I would like to serve him. So please hand him over to me and allow me to serve him for this puja. And then at the end of this puja, you can take him back and you can continue worshiping him. And oh my Lord, please allow me to worship you. I know you're already being worshipped by so many attendants. You don't need my worship. You're completely swatantra, independent and self-satisfied. But I would like to worship you. I desire to offer service to you, kainkarya, service to you, bhakti. And please allow me to do that, even though you're already being served to the fullest extent by all your people in Vaikuntha. So this is the point. So this is called avahana. We call the Lord to come, right? Deity worship he's like a guest. He has to give up. He has to give up his being served by the perfect people in Vaikuntha to come here and be worshipped by us imperfectly. But his grace to us is so great that he'll do that. So here, this is also a paradigm, an example in Sandhya Vandanam of where we call Gayatri Devi, the goddess of the mantra, to please come and be present for our worship of the Lord Surya Narayana within the sun by the Gayatri mantra 3 times a day. We call the goddess of the mantra to come, right? She lives on a mountaintop somewhere. This is the idea, okay? So we call her to come, that's called a vahana, and then we send her back, Visarjana. So this is also a process in deity worship. We do a vahana Visarjana in deity worship. So again, Sandhya Vandana teaches us about deity worship. So here we have, I say I'm going to invoke Gayatri, right?
Okay.
Here's a mantra for invoking Gayatri. We stand and pray with Anjali, with folded palms, and we meditate upon Gayatri coming, right? I showed you in the beginning of this PDF, there's a picture of Brahmi, Rudri, and Vaishnavi, the different forms that Gayatri can take at different times of the day, right? So there are meditation dhyana mantras for those different forms, but I have not included those here. If somebody wants to learn a more complicated Sandhya Vandanam, they can also use those too, right? But here, we simply ask her to come. And we can meditate upon whatever form it is that she comes in. Ayatu Varada Devi Aksharam Brahma Sammitam Gayatrim Chandasam Matedam Brahma Jushaswanaha Ojosi Sahosi Balamasi Brajosi Devanam Dhamanamasi Vishwamasi Vishwayu Sarvamavi Sarvayur Abhibhur Om Gayatrim Mavahyami Savitrim Mavahyami Saraswatim Mavahyami. So may Gayatri come, may Savitri come. Savitri is the female equivalent of Savitur, the sun god, Surya Narayana, and Saraswatim come. These are 3 names that we call Gayatri Devi. Okay, so here we do a mudra of a Vahana mudra. A Vahana means please come, please come. If I want somebody to come, I say, hey, come in, like that. So with 2 hands, Avahanam, like that. Then, okay, so then we do the Gayatri Japa, either 10 times, 108 times, or 1,008 times. Some people do different amounts. They do 28, 32, 64. Some people do different number of times, morning, noon, and evening. But generally, 10 times is minimum. 108 times is normal sort of, and 1008 is maximum sort of that people do. But you can do even more if you want. Okay, this mental Gayatri. Now, it's considered, so you've heard Kanista, Madhyama, and Uttama, right? So 10 times is Kanista.
Okay.
108 times is Madhyama. 1,008 times is called Uttama. Okay, as far as, these are just, Kanista means small, Madhyama means middle, and Uttama means the ultimate or the greatest. Okay, so now we have here, so that just the Gayatri mantra is given here, so we do it, we count it. And now you can count it in different ways. There are ways to count by making knots on the Brahmin thread, and there are ways to count on the hands and the fingers. Some people have little machines, little clickers. They count. Maybe you've got rice grains in front of you that you can move from one place to another, like that on the floor or something like that for every 10 that you chant. Whatever. Normally, we see the right hand, and there are segments on that. Use the thumb to count different segments on the hand.
Yeah.
So in ISKCON and in Hari Bhakti Vilas, there's mention of two different ways, right? But the one that's prevalent in ISKCON and the Gaudiya Math is you start here on the middle of the ring finger, and you go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then you cross over again and start, if you're going to do 11, 12 like that. If you're going to do 11, right, then you have to make some similar thing with your right hand. Yeah. Or you can just fold a finger down with your right hand, right? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Yeah. Okay. There's another way. There's a few other ways also, but the one way that I like specifically, which is also Shastric, like that, is you start at the bottom, the base of the little finger, and you go up and around the top clockwise, and then along the bottom. And so the two middle sections in the middle of all the different sections, the middle section of the ring finger and the middle section of the middle finger and the ring finger are left untouched.
Okay.
And that is because that system, you meditate upon circumambulating Mount Meru.
Oh.
And this is considered to be Meru. See and it's a full circumambulation. You go from here all the way around, and you come back to here, and then you just jump over to the next one. You're starting again. You're going around. There's no. See, if you start here and go down and around, you're leaving out these two. But when you get to the end, you have to jump over Mount Meru to get back to the beginning.
Mm.
So in japa, we have a japa mala, right? So there's a rule when you're using a japa mala that when you chant, you go around and there's a head bead, which is called the Meru bead, or some people call it the Krishna bead, and they think that the other 108 gopis. And then there are 8 beads. The 8 biggest beads are considered to be the 8 main gopis, or whatever it is, right? So we meditate like this. Meditation is good. So we think like this about the japa mala. Okay, but when we teach people to chant, when they chant one round, when they get to the end of the round, the last bead, before they get to the head bead, the Krishna bead or the Meru bead, we tell them, don't go over that. Don't go over that. It's like a mountain. You go back the other way, turn around and go back the other way, right? So that way they can also tell whether they're doing an odd round or an even round, right? So when you start with the small beads, and you go up to the big beads. Yeah. Normally when they make japa beads, some japa beads, of course, are all the same size. But if you get one made, especially for you, probably in Vrindavan, the guys will make it in such a way as there are smaller ones and bigger ones. And they'll be grade. They'll be grade. So you start from the small and you go up to the big, or you start from the big and go to the small. It's up to you. And then the second round that you do, the second time you go around the japamala, you're going to be doing the opposite, either going from the small or going from the large, right? So you always know whether you're odd or even, like that. And they also I think sometimes they use it in Vrindavan, they put a string to mark off those 8 special beads. And that's just to tell you, as you're going around, to tell you when you're approaching the Meru bead, and you're going to have to turn around and go back. Okay, anyway, there's lots of different sciences to japa beads and things like that. Some people have 108 on their mala, some people have 54, some people have 27, right? If you have a small mala of 27, you just go, if you do 4 of those, you get 108. If you have one of 54, you can do 2 of them, it's 108. So, there's different ways of counting on beads, counting on the fingers, counting with knots, counting with grains. There's all different ways. The important thing is that you just are able to keep count. That's all.
Okay.
It's the most important thing. In Hari Bhakti Vilas, there's a whole section on different types of malas made of different things: lotus seeds, crystal, gold, pearls, tulsi, and there are different benedictions for using different types of beads. It can all be read in chapter 17 on Puruscharana, for perfecting the mantra. Okay, so anyway, here we're going to chant on the fingers probably, because we're probably not going to chant a whole lot, so we're just going to chant 10 times or 108 times. Yeah. It's not so big deal. Okay, so then after that's finished, then we do pranayama again, just one time to finish. Right, so that's finished. Then we do a sankalpa 4. We call Gayatri. Now we're going to send Gayatri away. We're going to do the valediction, right? We call Gayatri, then we chanted Gayatri, then we're going to send her away. So we say, Parasandhya Upasanam Karisye, it's Sandhya Upasanam, becomes Sandhya Upasanam with the Sandhi. It's Karisye, I'm going to do the Sandhya Upasana. Okay. Udvasana. Udvasana, we fold our hands in front of our chest and we say, Uttame Shikare Devi, Bhumyam Parvata Muddani Brahmane Ebhyo Kyanudyanam, Gacha Devi Yatasukam. Gacha Devi. Gacha means go. Please go. Gacha Devi Yatasukam. Be happy with happiness. Please go. Like that. No, go back to your mountaintop or wherever you were from. And we can also show the Visarjana Mudra, which is with the hands. The opposite of calling is sending. Right? At the end. Opposite of Avahana is Visarjana. The opposite of invocation is valediction. Valediction. Now, in puja, sometimes we don't do valediction. Vaishnava Smartas always will do valediction. They'll always call the deity and they'll send the deity away, except if it's a permanently installed deity in the temple. But mostly they'll call and they'll send. But some Vaishnavas, they just call the deity and then they don't bother. But we can understand that a movable deity, after some time, after the puja is over, after at least maximum one day, that deity has to be invoked again. We have to do a vahana again the next day. If it's a movable deity, if it's a deity which is cemented down with pita ratnanyasa and permanently installed, right? An immovable deity, that stone deity, that deity can be invoked once and for good. But the movable deities are either representations of the big deities, or they're what we call chalamurti, movable murti, and they need to be invoked every day. Okay. So now we have Upastanam. We have more prayers, right? These are prayers to the sun in the different times of the day. So the sun is known as by different names in different time of the day. Mitra in the morning, Varuna in the evening, right? Like that. So we have this part 24 will also be different morning, noon, and evening, some different mantras, right? That previous one, sending Gayatri away, that's the same, morning, noon, and evening. So now we have another one, Upastanam. Upastanam, Om Mitrasya Shashini Rasa Sanasim Satyam Chitrasavasavam Mitro Janane Yatati Pajana Mitro Dadara Pitamutta Jam Mitrista Anim Shavita Se Satya Havim Gudvad Videma Pasamitra Matra Astya Prayasvan Shikshiti Vitena Nahanyatena Jiate Totona Nagumho Ashrananti Dona Durata. Right? Okay, so we pray to the sun. Then next we go to Namaskaram. Namaskaram means we're going to offer obeisances in different directions. So we're facing east, right? So we're standing up facing east to chant those other mantras before. So we start off in the east and we're going to do pradakshina. We're going to go east, south, west, north, and then we're going to be back to facing east. So we say Om Sanjaya Namaha, Om Savitri Namaha, Om Gayatri Namaha, Om Saraswati Namaha, Om Sarvabhyo Devatabhyo Namo Namaha, right? So we say to Sandhya Devi, Savitri Devi, Gayatri Devi, Saraswati Devi, like that, the goddess of the mantra, we are going to say in the different directions. And then in the east again, we're going to say Sarvabhyo Devatabhyo Namo Namaha means to all the devatas, to all the devatas, to all the different devatas. Then we can touch the fingers to our chest, and we can say Kamo Kashin Manyura Kashin Namo Namaha. This is the mantra which is chanted japa of when we do the upakarma, recharging of our Brahminical batteries once a year, which is called upakarma. Yajurveda upakarma comes on the Purnima, or the full moon of Shravana month. So it's the same day that people in ISKCON celebrate the Balaram Purnima, Balaram Jayanti, the appearance of Balarama. So Balaram, on that day, we have to change the Brahman thread, and we have to also chant this mantra many times. This mantra says that please forgive us for our sins. You know, lust made me do that sin, or anger made me do that sin, or whatever it is, and please forgive me for those sins. So we're saying, forgive us for the sins. Yeah. Some of the meanings of the mantras. I'll send you another book. Also, there's a nice book that give the meaning of the mantras too, like that, in a Vaishnava way, right? So then we do Abhivadanam. Abhivadanam means that we're going to say who we are. We're going to announce who we are in a very ritual way and formal way. So covering both ears with the hands bent at the waist in obeisance, standing up and bending down at the waist, bowing down, not, right? And at the end, we touch the ground with our hands, with our fingers, with our hands crossed. We say, replace the word amukha. Right. Imagine that you have your guru in front of you, like that. He's standing in front of you, right? He's facing you, you're facing him. The reason for crossing the hands would be so that you touch his right foot with your right hand and his left foot with your left hand.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you touch the guru's feet like this, if he's standing, if you touch his feet like this, if he's sitting, sure, touch his feet like this. Then your right hand, he's crossed his legs. So you'll be touching your right hand to his right foot. But if he's standing facing you, you have to go like this. You have to cross your hand, right? Because otherwise you'll touch your left hand to his right foot. So the idea is everything you should think about, how you should do that thing. So this is one reason they do that. Okay, so then you're going to explain the rishis from your particular gotra, the family lineage that you live in, and also the gotra that you belong to, and the sutra, the Kalpa Sutra, the ritual sutra that you follow of the particular Veda that you follow. Since this is a Yajurveda Sandhya Vandanam, I put Yajur Jayi, which means a Yajurveda, the branch of the Vedas of the Yajurveda, and also your name, your ritual name, like that. And you put Sharma in there. If you, at the end, it says, I will go through it. Abhivadaye, amukha, amukha, amukha. Now the word amukha here is to be replaced by, means such and such. It's replaced. So for instance, for me, I would say, Abhivadaye, Vaishvamitra, Agamarshana, Kaushika. These are three rishis of Kaushika Gotra, right? So then I'll say, Trayarshaya. Trayarshaya means these three rishis. If it's only one rishi, it's Ekarshaya. If it's five rishis, it's Pancharshaya. But here it's Trayarshaya Pravaranvita. Then Kausika Gotraha. The person who told me Sandhya Vandana was Kausika Gotraha. So I adopted his Gotra. So Kausika Gotraha. I'm in the family of Kausika Gotra. Kausika Gotra. Apastamba Sutraha, because I follow the Apastamba Sutra of the Krishna Yajurveda, not the Bodhayana Shaka, right there. But if somebody wants to follow Bodhayana, they say Bodhayana Shaka. And Yajur Shaka Dhyayi of the Yajurveda. I'm studying the Yajurveda, a branch of the Yajurveda. Then I say Sri Keshava Sharma Namaha Masmibo. My name is Keshava Sharma. Right? Sharma means Brahmin. Mm-hmm. Namaha Masmibo. Okay. Instead of Sharma, if you're Kshatriya, you say Varma. If you're a Vaishya, you say Gupta. And if you're Sudra, you say Dasa. Of course, Sudras probably won't do the Vedic Sandhya Vandana, but anyway, these are the surnames of each of the castes. Sharma, Varma, Gupta, and Dasa. Okay, so that's Prana Sandhya Vandanam. Then we're going to perform. When we're going to do Dig Bandhana, we're going to pray to the different directions. So we're again facing east. We say Om Prachedishe Namaha. My obeisance is unto the eastern direction, right? Then southern direction, western direction, northern direction, up, down, outer space, the earth, and Vishnu, right? So we say Om Prache Dishe Namaha Dakshinaye Dishe Namaha, we turn when we do this. Om Pratiche Dishe Namaha, Udiche Dishe Namaha, Udvaya Namaha, Antaraya Namaha, Antarikshaya Namaha, Bhumye Namaha, Vishnave Namaha, right? We do all those things. Now these may change. These will change a little bit in evening Sandhya Vandana, because in the evening Sandhya Vandana, we do the japa of Gayatri facing the sun, which is west, not east. So instead of Prache Dishe Namaha, Dakshinaye Dishe Namaha, Pratiche Dishe Namaha, Udiche Dishe Namaha, we will start by saying Pratiche Dishe Namaha, Udiche Dishe Namaha, Prache Dishe Namaha, Dakshinaye Dishe Namaha. We'll say west, north, east, south, like that, right? In the evening only. In morning and noon, we won't, because we'll be facing east when we say the Gayatri mantra. We'll do the japa, right? And doing the argya as well. You have to do it towards the sun, right? So the sun goes to the west, you have to face west, right? So that's the only difference. Otherwise, it's the same. Then we have another thing which is the same. We're going to meditate upon Lord Narayana within the sun. Narayana Sarasijasana Vistaha. This mantra we've seen in Arjuna Paditi is used as a meditation on Lord Narayana when worshipping Salagrama. Yeah. Then we have another mantra, Shankha Chakra Gadapane, Dvarakana Achita, Govinda Pundarika, Rakshamam Sharanagatam, which was the prayer by Draupadi, right? When she was being disrobed, when they were trying to strip her naked in the assembly of the Pandavas and the Kauravas, when they had lost the whole kingdom and everybody in the kingdom, including her, by playing dice with Kauravas. And so she appealed to Lord Krishna, Lord Govinda, who was in Dwarka at the time, but she prayed to him with this prayer. This is a prayer of surrender to Krishna, right? And then Namo Brahmani Devaya Gobravani Hitaya Jagadaya Krishna Govindaya Namo Namaha. These sort of prayers, these two prayers here, maybe there are some people who don't say these, but this is a general Sandhya Vandana. Many people say this. Then again, we do the Abhivadanam, where we ritually say who we are by bending over and saying Abhivadaye, Koshika Shri Koshika Go Vaishvamitra Gamashana Koshika Trayashaya Pravanvita Koshika Apastamba Sutra Yajya Shakaji Shikesh Vashamanama Vibo, like that. Right? We say our Abhivadana, then Samarpanam. We say that everything that I have just done, the whole Sandhya Vandanam, I offer the benefit of that Sandhya Vandanam to Lord Narayana. I offer everything, all the results from this ritual to Lord Narayana. This is also a very good prayer, because at the end of every ritual, we always say this prayer, Kayena Vacha, Manasindriyeva, Budyapana Vakapesva Bhavat, Kuromi Yajachakalam Parasmai Narayana Iti Samarpayami. I offer unto the Supreme Lord. Sarvam Shri Krishna Paramastu, and we say Shri Krishna 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 3 times. Some people, some smarters, they say 10 times. They say Shri Krishna Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Krishna 10 times. Okay, so that is the end of Pratasanya Vandanam in a simple way. It's a simple Pratasanya Vandanam of Yajus Krishna Yajurveda Sandhya Vandanam, like that. And this very similar is the Madhyanikam at noon. There's a few differences. There's a time. There's the difference in the prasana where we say apapuranta pidivim pidivi puta purantamam purantu brahmanaspati brahm puda panatamam yudjastam abojam yadbad adbo ojam yadbad justaritam mama sarva puratu mama po satan pratigra cha pratigra swaha, right? Okay, so we have that. It's basically the same. We're substituting, instead of saying Prata Sandhyam, we're always saying Madhyanikam. In the evening, we'll say Sayam Sandhyam in all the sun kalpas. The other difference would be in the when we do the Visarjana, when we do the Udvasana, the Upasthana is different. Oma Satyana Disavat Tamano Niveshan Namatam Matam Cham Hiranyayana Savataratena Devo Yani Bhuvanavi Pasanye Udvayam Tamasas Paripashan Tojukturuttamam Devam Devat Surgama Jokturuttamam Ruttam Jada Vedasam Devam Bahanti Kerava Hadushe Vishwaya Suryam Chitram Devanamudagadanekam Chakso Mitasya Varunasya Apadyava Prithvi Antarikshagum Sriya Panjagarastastusascha. Right? And then we say, then we make a Yama Grantha, we make a special mudra like this, which is some people call it Vyoma Mudra, like that, and we look through it and we look at the sun with the right eye, and we pray that we live for 1,000 years, not 1,000 years, 100 years, 100 autumns, it says here in the Sanskrit. Saradashatam, pasyema saradashatam. Let me see the sight of the sun for 100 autumns. Right? Jivema saradasaram, nandama saradasaram, modama saradasaram, bhavama saradasaram, sindavama saradasaram, prabhavama saradasaram, ajita syama saradasaram, jokta suryam drishe. And then you say, finish it off by saying, Ya Udagan Mahado, Anavad Vipajamana Sarasya Madhyad, Samavishabho, Rohitaksha Suryo, Basham Manasa Punatu. Right? And then same thing. The rest of it is the same. The rest of it is the same. And then for what was the question?
Could you show me again the mudra?
Sure.
Please? How to make? Okay. Oh, okay. Looks a little bit difficult. I never saw this one before.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult. Okay, somebody will show you. Okay, so then Sayam Sandhya Vandanam. Again, we have a little bit, we have the prasana is going to be a little bit different. Where's the prasana? Prasana is going to be a little different. Okay, prasana is going to be Om Agnischa. Instead of Suryascha in the morning, we have Agnischa. Om Agnischa, Mamanyascha, Manyupadesta, Manyukatebhya, Papebhya, Rakshantam, Edanam Papam, Gaishamana Savacha, Hastabhyam, Padbyam, Udana, Shishna, Hastadavalam, Patu, Yakinchuduritam, Magi, Idamaha, Mamamati, Yonao, Sati, Georgiom, Swaha. And then that's going to be different. And then what else is different? The other thing which is different is Sayam Sandhya. In all the sankalpas we say Sayam Sandhya. Okay, when we get down to the Udvasanam is the same. Upasthanam is different. So now we have a mantra. Om Yam Me Varuna Shri Havajja Chamideya Twamavasura Chiketa Twayami Brahmana Vandamana Stada Aste Yajamano Havibbihi Ahedamano Varuneha Budya Shugamsha Mana Ayuf Pramoshihi Yachiti Dev Vishoyata Deva Varudam Britamani Mashi David Diviya Kinchedam Varun Devi Jidepi Droham Manasha Astaramasi Yatiti Yatavadama Yopima Manastasfanena So Devari Shaha Kiravaso Yadridi Buni Divi Yadbaga Satyam Muta Yana Vidma Sarvata Vishya Stitireva Devata Te Syama Varuna Priyasaha. Okay. That's an important mantra too, because that mantra comes in another ritual, which is done all the time, called when you have archanam, or making of the holy water. So that's a very important prayer to the sun as Varuna, or we can also say it's Varuna, Pundarikaksha Varuna, we call it. We call him Narayana as Varuna, in the form of Varuna. So here, Varuna can mean the god of the waters, but he can also mean the Lord Sriman Narayana. So this Imam Me Varuna. So in the morning, he's called maybe Aditya, and in the evening, Varuna, like that. Okay, so then we have, remember that we're facing west in evening Sandhya Vandana for the Argya Pradhanam, offering the Argya, and also for offering the Japa in the west, right? So probably we're facing north for doing Achmana, and then we're facing west, because we don't want to face east for doing Achmana, because we'll have our back to the sun, Surya Narayana. So in the evening, so face north, and then turn towards for offering Argya and offering Japa, we'll turn to the west. So here, and look, I'm telling you, it's funny because even some people in India, I was doing Sandhya Vandanam in Mysore at one of my teachers' places, outside in the front of the house, and there was another Brahmin living opposite, Madhva Brahmin, an old Madhva Brahmin, and he was doing Sandhya Vandana. And after I finished, he came over to me and he said, "You're doing Sandhya Vandana so nicely." He said, "But one thing, you're facing the wrong direction. It's the evening, instead of facing, you can't face, you have to face east. When you do Gayatri Japa, you have to face east." And I said, no. When you face in the evening, he said, when you do Gayatri Japa, you always have to face east. I said, no, not always. In the evening, you have to face west, because that's where the sun is. That's where Surya Narayan is. That's where you offer the argya, and that's where you offer the japa. And he goes, oh. And this guy, he'd been doing he's an old Madhva Brahmin. He's been doing Sandhya Vandana his whole life. And he didn't know like that. So you're going to find people who don't know exactly how to do this properly like that. They've been taught some way by their parents. My Sanskrit teacher in Sri Rangam, is a great Vaishnava and member of a Hobalam Mutt and everything like that. And he told me, he said, when my father taught me Sandhya Vandana, he didn't teach me with the proper pronunciation, the proper swaras. He didn't know the swaras, the Vedic swaras. He just taught me ekashruti with single tone.
Okay.
So you have all sorts of people that don't necessarily know, just because they live in India and they're old and they're Vaishnavas and they don't necessarily know, like that. You have to go deeply into rituals have got very, and I'm glad to be corrected by anybody. If anybody wants to correct anything that I've written out on Vedic or Vaishnava ritualism, please do. I am open to suggestions. If you can find something better, if you can tell me a better way or a better thing, please do. Please tell me. I'm very happy to change things like that. But as far as my extensive research is concerned, this is a very simple, of course, Sandhya Vandana, but there's more you can add. But it's definitely correct to face west in evening Sandhya Vandana and start in the west. Sanjaya Namaha, Savitri Namaha, Gayatri Namaha, Saraswati Namaha, still say the names in the same order, but face west, north, east, and south before facing west again and say Sarvabhyo Devatabhyo Namaha. And the same thing down here in the Digbandanam, Prati Che Dishe Namaha, face west first. Instead of saying Prache Dishe Namaha, Dakshinaya Dishe Namaha, we have to say in the evening Sandhya Vandanam. This is very common. And you will find actual videos and cassette tapes that I have of Brahmins. And they do all three Sandhya Vandanams. And when they come to do the evening one, they get it wrong. They get it wrong which direction they should be facing first. Seriously, I can show you on the internet. I have copies of this where people will start off by saying to the east, to the south, to the west, to the north. No. In evening, you have to start at the west because that's where you're facing, because that's where the sun is. You start with the west and you go north, south, north, east, south, like that, around, like that. Okay, so everything that we see, even these commercial tapes that come out and commercial books that come out that try to tell you how to do Sandhya Vandana can be wrong. It can be wrong if they're done with something, because what people do today in computers is they if they're writing a book on Sandhya Vandanam, they do morning Sandhya Vandanam, and then they cut and paste it to evening Sandhya Vandanam. They cut and paste it to noon and evening, and then just change the mantras which are for noon and evening, and they forget about the directions. And it's all to save ourselves from typing the mantras all out again, right? We just cut and paste, but you can't just cut and paste. Because in the evening, you have to face west first.
Okay.
That's right. So here at the end, I explained a little bit about the Anudatta, Swarita, Udatta, and Nigada, or it's also called Dirgha Swarita, the different Vedic swaras. So anybody who's writing a book or printing a book, like some people in ISKCON print books with markings on Sanskrit to show Vedic swaras, Vedic tones, they need to have at least a little explanation of what the markings they put on the Sanskrit are, like that, and explaining how we get the gum sound when an Anushwara precedes a R, palatal S, cerebral S, dental S, right, or an H, right? It's pronounced like gum, yeah, like that. And when you have any conjunct consonant, two consonants coming together, beginning with S, the powerful S, the cerebral S, dental S, or the H, it's not pronounced as gum, it's pronounced as gush. Okay?
Mm.
So when Anushwar precedes other letters, it can be optionally, it can be pronounced as the other nasals of those particular places in the mouth. Y and V, its pronunciation does not change. It can also nasalize Y and V and even L and R. But that's, here we have a very strange rule here. It's nasalized when it comes before an L, but it can nasalize before all the. Anyway, some other examples of how pronunciation, some just little rules about pronunciation to help people like that. And that's how I finished that document.
Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya.